Good evening and welcome to Wednesday night's calendar.
Good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
Emergency crews scrambled to a major incident in Leeds where a road crash ended with a bus ploughing into a terraced house.
There's quite a few passengers. One of my friends, actually, her sister, she's in Pinderfields at the moment. She's broken her nose and things. It is quite bad.
Yes, in the last few minutes, recovery vehicles have stepped in as police hunt the driver of a van who fled the scene of the crash. The driver of the bus has sustained life-threatening injuries.
We'll have more on those casualties and the investigation into exactly what happened shortly. Also coming up tonight.
Hey, well done.
Victory for the minnows. How a small North Yorkshire fishing club took on the government over this polluted beck and won.
We're not doing it for ourselves. This is our generation. We're doing it for future generations, and they're the ones who matter most to us because they're the ones who are going to be fishing in the future.
Collision course, Leeds bowlers dismay as the council says it will slash funding for the city's public greens.
This green means everything to me and to the people that play on it. It does. Without this green, this community around here will just about collapse because there is nothing else.
And futuristic fetch. We go for walkies with this high-tech robo delivery dog as it hits the streets of Barnsley. So, first tonight, a bus driver is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after a crash into a terraced house in Leeds.
Several passengers were also treated at the scene of the incident on Ledwell Lane in Rothwell this afternoon, as police launched an appeal for a van driver who was involved in the collision but left the scene.
Well, our reporter Jonathan Brown is live at the police cordon now. And Johnny, what do we know about what happened?
Well, Ian, as you can see, recovery teams have stepped in the last few minutes. It's actually happening as we speak. Police cars are just moving out the way so that this bus can be moved along. But you can probably see some of the damage that's been done to the windscreen of this bus. Behind that, it was actually wedged into the doorway of a house. It smashed the doorway and also impacted some guttering and a car that was parked on the pavement next to the house. Now, miraculously, nobody inside the house was actually injured. Now, West Yorkshire Police say that this incident happened at about 12:10 this afternoon. They say a Luton van was involved and that van, which we understand was travelling in the opposite direction to the bus, drove away after the incident. The crash left multiple people injured, prompting a queue of ambulances earlier on treating some of those passengers. Now, we have footage of some of them being treated at the scene, while police say that the bus driver was the most seriously injured. We understand that there are in hospital with life-threatening injuries. Now, as you can imagine, this incident has shocked people living up and down this quiet, residential, quite rural street. It's a 20-mile-per-hour zone, for example, and earlier on I spoke to a resident on one of these houses.
And then we've come outside. Obviously, I had ambulance here, but I seen the van speed past, and then the police have told us the bus has gone to swerve, and then that's what's happened, and it was horrific. The bus driver's in a really bad way. That was just horrendous, absolutely awful. There's quite a few passengers. One of my friends, actually, her sister, she's in Pinderfields at the moment. She's broken her nose and things. It is quite bad, but luckily not too many. I think the bus driver, bless him, he caught worst of it, but we just hope he's okay.
And Johnny, what about that investigation into what happened?
Well, Laura, this afternoon we've seen police forensics teams combing the street and also examining the bus itself. They've also been making 3D scans of the street as they try to build a picture of exactly what caused this collision to take place in the first place. In the meantime, at the moment, this crash has meant that the road is closed to motorists. People are being urged to avoid the area. Shortly, I'd imagine it will reopen once this bus is moved out of the way, whilst West Yorkshire Police are currently urging anyone with dashcam footage of this incident to come forward, and they are, of course, urging the driver of that van to come forward too.
Jonathan Brown live in Rothwell for us. Thank you. And of course, it goes without saying, we'll keep you updated with any developments on the calendar website and in our late bulletin at 10:30.
Well, next to what's an historic legal win for the minnows of Pickering Fisheries Association as they took on the might of government at London's Court of Appeal.
The North Yorkshire anglers had fought a long battle against them and the Environment Agency for their failure to protect a local beck from pollution.
Well, today they finally got the news that they'd won their case, and our reporter Katie Oscroft was with them.
Well, Laura, yes, and there was practically a party earlier on the banks of the beck here. If ever there was proof needed that still waters really do run deep, it's here in this idyllic spot. It's the last place you'd expect to be the focus of such a bitter legal row. Now, the government says it is examining today's judgment. It accepts there are problems in the system, and that, it says, it's why it's launched the Independent Water Commission. But as for anglers in Pickering, well, they're just celebrating.
Hey,
well done. Fantastic. Brilliant news.
News of a famous victory at the Court of Appeal came on a sunny afternoon by the banks of the Coster Beck.
Bye. Here we've been fighting for years and years and years and getting nowhere, and now at last this may be opening the door for us and we might see this once glorious river restored.
Anglers at this beck in years gone by consider themselves at the best fly fishing spot in the country. But stocks dwindle dramatically.
At the moment, in this piece of water, very few. Very, very few. Everybody knows it's being polluted, but the people who are in the positions to do something about it are doing absolutely nothing.
That anger provoked the standoff between the government, the Environment Agency and the minnows of Pickering Fisheries Association. The row reached the courts and the government appealed when the case went against them.
It means everything. It means we get our river back. We can start hopefully working with the Environment Agency, and thanks to Martin, we have a plan for seeing the fish return to this river. We're not doing it for ourselves. This is our generation. We're doing it for future generations, and they're the ones who matter most to us because they're the ones who are going to be fishing in the future, and they'll be able to keep this beck going and get it back to exactly where it used to be in the past.
It feels like we're David and they're Goliath, It's not me, it's the club, that we're just that small outfit which could be seemingly irrelevant. I keep getting told how many jobs they have to do in Yorkshire, but I keep ignoring the fact this has been dying for 40 years, slowly but surely, and getting worse, while they've just stood by and watched it happen.
The Department for Environment says the government has always had ambitious plans to invest and regulate its waterways. Today's ruling means there will have to be detailed plans to clean up and protect this stretch of water. It could also open the floodgates for others to demand polluted streams and rivers across the country are cleaned up. Katie Oscroft, ITV News, Pickering.
Some more stories from around the region, and a man has appeared in court charged with murdering a mother and her 3 children in a house fire in Bradford. 39-year-old Shiraz Ali was in a coma and was not expected to survive after a fire that killed Bryony Gowerth and her children at their home in August last year. Ali has been moved from hospital to prison and appeared at Leeds Crown Court today via a video link. The case will next be heard in June.
A third former South Yorkshire police officer has been arrested as part of an independent Office for Police Conduct investigation into child sexual abuse in Rotherham. The IOPC says it's now looking into 6 women's complaints of sexual offending by former officers. 2 officers were arrested last year. This week, a former police constable in his 50s was arrested on suspicion of raping a teenage girl in 2004 and has been released on bail.
Councillors in Leeds have voted to push ahead with plans to increase costs for Crown Green bowling clubs in a move that could force many to close and threaten the very future of the game.
Players from across the city had hoped the authority would reconsider its move to double membership fees as it seeks to make huge savings. But at a meeting today, their hopes of a reprieve were dashed, as Lisa Adlam reports.
The summer bowling season has only just begun, but here at Cherwell Park, players are wondering how much longer they can remain in competition. Doubling season ticket prices as part of council cutbacks will, they say, put the sport beyond many, often the elderly and vulnerable who benefit from it the most.
This is where they come to socialise, to take part in a team sport. It builds their self-esteem. It stops people being lonely. And to see all that gone, it's upsetting.
Absolutely devastating. What do we do? Where do we go? We'd have to find alternatives. If we can't be self-sustainable, we'll have to find alternatives. But I'm hoping it doesn't come to that.
Cherwell Park was one of 30 bowling clubs earmarked for closure under Leeds City Council's initial bid to save around £140,000 a year. After a temporary reprieve in January, new proposals put forward the price rise, as well as making clubs foot energy and water bills. Today, players from a number of clubs had hoped councillors would defer a final decision and consider alternative solutions, but their calls went unheeded.
I'm really disappointed, obviously. We've been campaigning for the last 3 months or so on trying to keep our bowling greens open for everybody, and it's just fallen on deaf ears, and in there it was almost as if they weren't interested, but we'll still keep fighting against them and we'll be challenging them at every opportunity.
I feel like if a year ago this was brought forward and we got in a room with the bowling clubs and said, look, we have to make these savings, let's work with you on how to make these savings. I think the bowling clubs would have come up with better suggestions than the actual council officers or indeed council politicians that have implemented these changes.
But the council insists its changes are necessary to tackle the serious financial challenges it faces, and that it's simply not sustainable to continue subsidising clubs at their current level.
And we've had some great games, great times,
yes.
And it'll be a mess.
Leaving long-standing members of long-standing clubs like Cherwell Park fearing that years of tradition now hang in the balance.
This green means everything to me and to the people that play on it. It does. Without this green, this community around here will just about collapse because there is nothing else.
The council has promised to work with clubs to avoid such an outcome, but players across the city remain deeply concerned that they will end up on the losing side. Lisa Adlam, ITV News, Leeds.
Wonder what you think about that. Do get in touch and let us know. Now, you're watching Wednesday's calendar with Ian White and Lara Rostron. Thanks for being with us this evening.
Yes, still to come before 6:30.
Join me in Dodderth near Barnsley as volunteers put the finishing touches to an extraordinary 2-day garden makeover.
And whether it's a garden or a local park, the spring colours are definitely being helped, as well as our mood by all that sunshine this week. The full forecast a little later on.
Thank you, Carrie. But first, if you live in Barnsley and buy things online, well, don't be surprised if your parcel is delivered by a dog of sorts. It's the latest development in robotics and AI tech this summer.
Yes, it's called RoboDog, and he or she has been let out of its kennel to bring parcels to homes in the town. The high-tech hound is being trialled to see if it's going to be a good boy or end up in the doghouse. Martin Fisher went to see it in action.
It may look like science fiction, but this parcel-carrying pooch is coming to the streets of Barnsley. A crossbreed between AI and robotics, this autonomous hound will soon be making drops as part of a trial by delivery firm Every.
I think we need to look at different ways of how we deliver parcels. It will deliver 1 or 2 parcels to a household, and it will obey by the rules. So it will be compliant, it will take a photo, it will be allowed in via GPS location as well. So we monitor and manage the whole experience.
In a UK first, the mechanical mutt will work in partnership with a courier to deliver goods this summer. There's no need to keep it on a lead. With sophisticated automation, the 4-legged robot dog will be able to hop in and out of the courier's van as they make their rounds.
The wheels helps the robots to cover large distances, the legs help to overcome stairs. And what we do is we're training artificial neural networks. Everyone is aware of ChatGPT that is trained based on the internet data. And we do something similar, but instead of using the internet, we collect data from the real robot.
This summer, residents on chosen streets in Barnsley will have the option to have all their parcels delivered by these robots for the 3-month trial.
I think a brilliant case would be that if you have a disability and you take a long time to get to the door, the robot dog can wait 10 minutes with no impact to anybody's working day, and that will support that individual, that customer, getting the parcel.
And if this computer canine does ever get stuck, it can always phone home for help.
Now it's a prototype, but we're building really purposefully for safety. And on top of that, we have like a call center for robots. So each robot, when they get stuck or have a problem, they can call that call center over 4-5G, and there's a human in the loop that can interact with the robot in order to help the robot and guide them.
So Barnsley leading the way into the future as RoboDog delivers the goods. Martin Fisher, ITV News.
Whatever next, we'll be replaced by robots soon. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, some might say they already have been.
We've got Chris with us. Well, it's sort of bittersweet news, isn't it, really, about Scunthorpe Speedway star Ty?
Yeah, Ty Woofenden, as we heard earlier in the week, was involved in a serious crash whilst racing in Poland on Sunday. Well, Ty's wife, Faye, has taken to social media today to say, our hearts are heavy and we are taking one thing at a time at the moment. The severity of the injury is still yet to be confirmed, and Faye says the family are still processing everything and need a little bit more time to understand where things stand before sharing any further updates.
Yes, I know, and our thoughts, obviously, with Ty and his family. Terrible, really sad. Well, look, let's talk about last night's football now. And, of course, Rotherham has a new interim boss and got off to a good start.
Ian, it's often the way. They call it the new manager bounce, and boy did Rotherham need a bit of a lift as well. They won 2-0 at Northampton in what was Matt Hamshaw's first match in charge since the sacking of Steve Evans last Sunday. Not much to shout about elsewhere. Barnsley, Huddersfield and Mansfield all lost, although there was this bizarre moment in the Mansfield game where the Stags looked to have scored, but on closer inspection the ball actually went wide of the post, rebounded off the stanchion and along the back of the net. Bizarre. Bradford were also out of luck too. They could have gone top of League Two but lost at Port Vale. Instead, Walsall remain at the summit after they drew at Doncaster, who looked to have won it when Billy Sharp scored with 6 minutes left. But in stoppage time, Danny Thomas responded quickest to head in and make it 2 apiece. Chesterfield are making a late charge for the playoffs. They made it 5 wins from 6 with a 2-1 victory over Carlisle. And Harrogate beat Tranmere 3-2, but only after the visitors missed a 91st minute penalty that would have earned them a draw. Former Leeds United player Stuart Dallas took part in a charity bike ride today to raise awareness of the importance of learning CPR. It's all part of the EFL's Every Minute Matters relay, stopping at all 72 Football League grounds in the country before setting off on their 33-kilometre ride from Ellen Road Stadium to Harrogate Town. Stuart and Leeds fans Connor Houghton, whose dad died of a heart attack in 2019, were given a demonstration in how to perform CPR.
I lost my mum when I was 10 years old till a heart attack. You know, my granddad suffered heart attacks and cardiac arrest over the years too. So it's something that, as I said before, I was really keen to get involved in because it means something to me as well.
It's only 15 minutes of your time to learn CPR to potentially save someone's life. You know, if somebody has an out of hospital cardiac arrest and you could be with, you know, your loved one, your friend, completely someone random. You know, it's the only opportunity that you'll have to save their life if you have an out of hospital cardiac arrest.
Yeah, really important life skill, that one. That's
Absolutely.
all your sport.
OK, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Welcome.
We'll be hearing from Kerry shortly about this glorious weather that we've been having. And if you're lucky enough to have a garden, especially if you've got children out there, you'll certainly be enjoying it. But one teenager from Barnsley has struggled to enjoy her little bit of outdoors, well, up until now.
Yes, because you see, 17-year-old Maddie has complex needs and sometimes requires a wheelchair. And all those paving slabs in her mum's garden have been a bit of a hazard. So big-hearted volunteers sprang into action to put things right. Well, let's go live now to John Hill, who can tell us more. And a very nice evening it is too, John.
You know what? The last rays of sunshine are just leaving this garden. I've got to say, you know, it's actually nithering despite the sun being out, but it has shone for 2 days on this garden makeover. The volunteers are still putting the finishing touches to it. And look, here's the person who's the centre of attention, Maddie, who's 17. She's with mum and dad, Simon and Pauline. And this is the sensory board, which is the highlight of the garden makeover. Pauline, just tell us what the volunteers have done.
Oh, this is just amazing. This has been the focus of the attention Maddie's giving it at the moment. This has been a fantastic effort from all the volunteers. They've put an amazing a garden together for Maddie, and she's going to get so much fun out of it.
And now Maddie's non-verbal. It's not that we're ignoring Maddie. Simon, what do you think she will make of this?
Well, she will absolutely love this. She's really into anything sensual. And you can see for yourself just how much fun she's getting from it. This is her cup of tea.
Well, let's talk to a couple of the volunteers who've put all the hard work in. We've got with us Mick and also Roger from the charity Well Child. Now, Mick, you first. You're from CEF, big electrical wholesaler, and your folks, you've done this work. The first garden makeover you've done, so no pressure. But now you've seen Maddie. It must be worthwhile, is it?
Well, that's it. I mean, this is what matters. And for me, just seeing the smile, and we all know Maddie's non-verbal, but the excitement from her and the noises she's making from excitement is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Roger, the charity Well Child basically exists to do this kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The vision of Well Child is to get every seriously ill child with complex medical care needs out of hospital, at home, so they can thrive in environments like this with their families.
Not bad, is it, when you see she's enjoying it?
No, I love this. The reaction from Maddie's amazing, as with every child that we help. And I'd be out on the road every week doing this if I could.
Thanks for now. Just to say, it's not just the sensory board. Down here you've got artificial turf, and then I believe in posh families these are called pergolas, but it's shelter because Maddie finds the intense sunshine quite difficult sometimes, but also where the family is standing, this is rubberised. So a chance, Simon, really to play in this little area, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll not keep me away with Maddie.
But let's just see.
She's not got shoes on, so
yeah.
it's ideal.
She's not got her shoes on.
Sensory feet, sore feet as well.
We'll all get cold because it is nithering, but Maddie's enjoying a new garden.
Thanks very much, John.
Wonderful. Great to see Maddie enjoying it, and her parents too as well. It's going to make such a difference. Are they going to have the weather to enjoy it though, Kerry?
Oh, well, it's been glorious today, hasn't it? And it's looking good. So much dry weather for the week ahead, actually, but for the working week, it's staying settled. So we've got a rinse and repeat over the next couple of days. This was from Rose earlier on this afternoon from Bempton. It looks very peaceful, but I'm sure it tells doesn't tell the whole story because we had an easterly wind today and it has really pegged back the feel of things directly at the coast and right over the tops. The bigger picture is we've got high pressure over us, that's keeping things settled. The low pressure is towards Portugal and Spain, where they've even had some thunderstorms kicking off in northern Spain over the last few hours. And as you can see from the satellite picture today, even all parts of northern Europe have been under a cloudless sky. It's absolutely fantastic. Just to be aware that 12 is our average for early April, so if you're not happy with a 16 or 17 over the next few days, that's all I can give you. Here's your forecast.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, breezy for the coasts and the hills, especially as we head into tomorrow, but very much like today, plenty of blue sky and sunshine after morning mist and fog quickly lifting. A big thank you to Matt for this gorgeous shot of Pen y Ghent first thing this morning, and also to Julie for this one of the River Air in Castleford. So for the rest of the working week, fine days, chilly nights, feeling warm in the sunshine, but still with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. So overnight tonight, dry and clear. A little bit of low cloud, mist and fog first thing in the morning into the early hours. We've still got a bit of a breeze, so maybe not quite as chilly as last night, but still in rural shelter spots, away from that breeze, 2s and 3s as we head towards dawn. Another great shot, cheers to Gary for this one. Weather photos at itv.com, 6:35 and 7:45 are your sun times as we head into Thursday. Morning mist and fog lifting. Yes, it's breezy from the east as we head into tomorrow, but largely dry, plenty of sunshine and blue sky, and into the afternoon temperatures up a notch to around 16 or 17. Similar story as we head into Friday. We're expecting some low cloud off the North Sea on Saturday, fresher for the weekend, but mostly dry.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Beautiful weather, isn't it? Although it was a bit nippy on the old school run this morning.
Yeah, don't let that breeze catch you out. The UV is moderate. Yeah, right. Slap it on and get out. Yeah.
Okay. I will do. I'm going to go out now, in fact, and enjoy it while I can. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.